All right, so today we're going to dive into a really fascinating combination of neurotypes, autism and ADHD, which a lot of people are now calling AuDHD. We're going to explore what actually happens when these two very distinct ways of thinking exist in the same person. And we're going to reframe it in a way you probably haven't thought about before.
So let me ask you this. Does it ever feel like there are two completely different people inside your head, both pulling you in totally opposite directions? Well, that feeling, that sense of internal conflict, that's a really common place to start when you're trying to understand the ADHD experience.
Okay, so let's get right into it. The story you always hear about AuDHD is that it's this constant internal battle. The whole narrative is usually focused on the challenges, right? On that feeling of being totally at odds with yourself. And yeah, this really breaks down the heart of that conflict. On one side, you've got the ADHD brain. Think of it like this powerful engine for new ideas. It's all about novelty, it loves taking risks, it always wants to start something new. But then, on the other side, you have the autistic brain, which gets its strength from routine, from structure, from deep, consistent focus. So you can see why it often feels like a constant tug of war. And that's what we always hear about, isn't it? The friction, the frustration. The narrative is almost always about the downsides. And look, that struggle is a very real part of the experience, for sure. But it's only one side of the coin. So here's where we're going to flip this script in this explainer. We are going to shift our perspective completely away from this idea of a disorder and start looking at this combination through a totally different lens, the lens of a unique and seriously powerful advantage. In this quote from our source material, wow, it just gets right to the point. Instead of focusing on the battle, what if we started focusing on the incredible potential that comes from this unique wiring? What if it's actually a superpower? So if we're going to call it a superpower, we've got to understand how it works, right? Let's break it down. We'll start with the ADHD side of the equation, the part of the brain that's just this relentless idea generator. Let's call this part the creative go-getter. I love that name for it, because it's not just about having ideas, it's about that unstoppable energy to chase them down. So what does this go-getter actually bring to the table? Well, we're talking about a mind that can come up with just a staggering number of ideas. 1,000 a week, easy. It's got a natural willingness to take risks and a deep, deep desire to actually do something with those ideas. It really is the engine of action and innovation.
Okay, so that's the engine, but what about the steering wheel? Let's move to the other side of this amazing coin and look at the strengths of the autistic mind. We can think of this as the deep focus expert.
And here's another equally powerful name for it, the structured obsessive. And I want to be really clear here. When we say obsessive, we're not talking about it in a negative way at all. We're talking about a capacity for profound, world-class focus. This is where the mastery comes from. The artistic mind can take one of those 1,000 ideas and just dive into it with an intensity that, frankly, few people can match. It thrives on building a structure around a topic, becoming so deeply focused that it can build an almost encyclopedic knowledge base. It's the drive to not just know about something, but to become a true expert in it. Okay, and this is where the real magic happens. We're not talking about two separate people fighting anymore. We're talking about a synthesis, where these two seemingly opposite traits combine to create something truly extraordinary. And this is the new identity that emerges. The AuDHD superhuman. It's someone who has that creative spark of the ADHD mind to generate endless possibilities, combined with the profound focus and methodical drive of the autistic mind to bring those ideas to life with expert precision. So check out how this process actually works. It's this powerful loop. First, the ADHD part generates the exciting new idea. Then, the autistic component takes over, diving deep, obsessing, researching. And finally, the two synthesize. That initial spark gets channeled into a laser beam of focus, and you end up with mastery, over and over again. And you see this play out in the real world all the time. Think about it. It is a perfect combination for entrepreneurship, where you need both the creative ideas and the deep execution. It's why so many people with AuDHD are amazing at creating multiple streams of income. They can dream up a business idea and then obsessively build it. And this applies to mastering all kinds of complex hobbies and careers too. So as we start to wrap this up, let's just zoom out for a second. This whole idea, it isn't just about reframing a condition. It might just be about rethinking what we consider to be intelligence in the first place. This final quote really drives that point home.
This ability to innovate, adapt, and then master, all within one mind, is an incredible form of intelligence that our society so often overlooks or sleeps on because it doesn't fit into a neat little box. The source material even describes this as being more than a triple threat. And that's so true, right? You have the risk taker, the idea generator, the deep researcher, and the structured organizer all rolled into one. I mean, that is a multifaceted toolkit for tackling some really complex problems. So let's end with this thought. For anyone who has ever felt that internal tug of war, what if you stopped seeing it as a conflict? What if you started to see it as the dynamic tension that creates a truly unique and powerful strength? What if the things we see as our greatest challenges are in fact our most potent hidden superpowers?